I wish I could say that I really listened even then, but I didn't know what to make of it. Nowadays you could go online and find out like what might have happened, but in the beginning I didn't even have anyone to talk to about it. It almost seemed, that you shouldn't. People would think you're kind of crazy if that would happen. But I just started meeting people. I've had a few experiences where there were women I was attracted to that introduced me to teachers. My life was just sort of oomphed in that direction. I guess the first person I really met who I could say was a legitimate teacher was a Sufi sheikh, and he said, "Oh, you're a sensitive." He would talk about, and he liked to use that term. And most things I asked him about, he would say to me, "You don't need to know that." And but he taught me a lot. I also had a very cool experience with him. One thing I noticed after my near-death experience is when I touched people, my hands became warm very quickly. I did also start to notice I knew things about people that I couldn't quite explain. But before that, I was kind of intuitive, and I sort of assumed everyone was that way. Now I know that's not true, but it really stepped up, a number of steps during my near-death experience. But with the Sufi sheikh, I was at a class he was teaching. It was on sacred geometry, which is about healing the earth mostly, and planting in ways that help the earth energetically and stuff like that. It was a little beyond my understanding because the other people that were there had been studying it for quite a while. But I just liked being around him. He said, "Okay, you can come." And I was sort of acting like his assistant and, sweeping the floor, things like that. And during one of the breaks, he said, "Here, come into my office." He didn't have an office, but there was a little room there. He was a real jokester, let's say. And he said, "Give me your hands." And he put both my hands in his hands, and he squeezed, and he go, "There, you got it." And I said, "What? What do you mean?" He didn't answer me like usual. And then he said, one more thing. It took my hands again. He goes, "Here, now you got it." And after that, I noticed my hands became even warmer when I touched people. And I also felt something line up inside of me. It's always hard to describe, but it sort of made sense more about my being pulled towards doing healing work and stuff. And so in a certain way, he gave me this gift with a direct transmission of another step towards doing healing and learning things spiritually. So in the Islamic tradition, a sheikh is, it's not a very specific title actually, but there are, within the field of spirituality, they're the teachers, and it's a title of affection and just someone who knows. But it could be like a minister, a priest. It could be like a yogi, but they don't do yoga. Probably the biggest thing is when I just seem to have an effect on people that they get into this healing mode and things start moving inside of them. And that was even less concrete. I mean, the touching of the hands was something I could comprehend without really knowing much about it. And it, nowadays it's much more common, so I know what to do with it in my mind. It took a while to adjust to that change. I also became very sensitive to people's energy. So, and it is an ongoing process to learn how to integrate that into my life. And luckily I discovered a way to use that in a very positive way in the world. I know a lot of people who aren't as fortunate about it as I am that have a way to channel this in a way that's very apparent that it's a spiritual gift. As I said, people can sort of channel this into anything. Like an artistic thing, that would make sense, but anyone even doing business. I mean, some people have the magic about making money. So, housewives, mothers, being you're a dad. That's, in a certain way, that's the most spiritual thing on the planet, is being a parent. And, that love that we have for our children is probably the closest thing I've experienced to the love, God's love that's given to us on a regular basis.